What's up, y'all? This is Anthony, aka Sir Kibble 2. Looking at this indie game called Retrobooster. It's a space shooter cave dweller game, and I'm just showing you some gameplay right now. It's not a terribly complicated game to understand, but it is one that is extraordinarily difficult to control. There's a lot of inspiration for this game in terms of what it looks like. It looks like Defender, it looks like older cave dwellers, but its main focus is physics. As you can see by my ship, it's not really controlling like most other ships in older games or especially newer games. You know, if you look at something like today's Retrobooster, you'll see some. You really won't see anything. This game obeys gravity. This game obeys physics. As you see, I am drifting. I constantly drift. As soon as I hit those thrusters, I'm drifting, and I have to compensate my flight for that. If I change direction, everything obeys inertia. So there's a lot of physics that went into this. You can go and say, oh, it kind of looks like what older games look at in terms of some of the drift, some of the inertia and stuff, but not quite. There's other physics-based things that this game employs too. For example, I could have crushed or burned that human. And obviously, picking up humans gets clear and distinct inspiration from Defender. So as you saw, I just picked up a shield recharge. You have shields. Jeez, not doing so hot right there. You have shields and you have health. Both start off with 100 each, and obviously as you hit things, it goes down further and further, but you can recharge them. Sometimes enemies leave some behind after you kill them. Humans, as you pick them up, can also give you a bit of health, but not a whole bunch. Now you see I have to be real careful with the way I land because, well, this game obeys a sense of physics. You saw I bounced a little bit. Let me show you. If I landed a little bit harder, gotta get this right. Alright. If I landed a little bit harder, I would bounce. And my legs would pop out, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna land. So you have to be really careful about how you do that. If not, you might end up crushing the human you're trying to rescue. So it's pretty unforgiving in that respect. If you look in the top left corner, I almost said right. If you look in the top left corner, you'll see a score. As you destroy enemies and rescue humans, you will add to your score, and you will be added to your own local leaderboard. There's no online play in this game, and as I understand it, there is also no online leaderboards. It is retro in so many ways. There's not even online aspects. No online leaderboards. It's just you and your own desire to play this game. I mean, you can see it's a pretty straightforward game. Shoot stuff, rescue stuff. Now where things get a little interesting, this is one of the easier levels. There's about 30 levels in this game. I got as far as level 14 in about the 6 or 7 hours I've been playing this. And definitely say there's puzzles. It gets a lot trickier. Flying gets a lot tougher. There's a lot of open space right now, and you know it's a cave dweller, but it gets pretty difficult. see I'm dodging these bullets and stuff. And if you hold down the shield, you continue to lose shield. So we'll get into flying the ship a little more detailed, but you can tell it's a little bit more difficult. Oh, see, I burned him. You can hear the screams. Now, thankfully, he doesn't go burning his friends too, and I crushed one of them because I bounced, and that's why you have to be careful. Oh, shoot. Now, I got the finish line right there, but I'm going to finish these guys off just for points. And we'll move on to the next level. But this is the game. From here, now it's just all about finishing the levels and getting through them and solving the puzzles. Now, for whatever reason, it's a finish line, literally like a checkered flag, like it's a race. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, you see in the bottom right corner, there's all different kinds of weaponry and sub-weapons. You don't get a lot of them. Later in the levels, you start finding a little bit more, but in these early levels, there's not a whole bunch of them. So, I won't be able to show you them too much without dying a whole bunch, which it's super easy to die in this game. So let's talk about the flying a little bit. So the flying is physics based, and I haven't lost any health, so I don't need to pick that up. So the flying is physics based, and that is the challenge of this game. Trying to figure out how to fly the ship and get the most points possible. That is the primary challenge in the game. It's not the score, it's not the level design, it's flying. There are two other difficulty levels, 3 in total. But even in those challenge your flying ability. Because as they get tougher, the enemies get tougher. More gunfire, things like that. So you have to figure out how to fly the ship. And I've had a bit of practice, but it's taken me about 6 hours to even fly it this well. And forget trying to fly this thing at high speeds. That's not even gonna, not gonna happen. See, it's just not gonna happen. It's extremely difficult. Flying straight, nearly impossible. I can't do it. Not yet. At least. But that's the thing. It's one of those games where you're gonna have to invest some time into it. If you really want to get the most out of it, you gotta invest some time into the mechanics and the flying. Even as I'm shooting, my ship gets pushed back. That's because of inertia of firing the guns. It obeys so many rules of physics, and it's not so bad if it's the type of challenge that you want, because it is a challenge and everything works as it should. Every time you die, every time you crash, every time you run into something, it's your fault. There's no bugginess in it all. In fact, if you were to go back and play other games that try to do something in a similar fashion, you realize how bad the physics in those games are and how much they cater to people who may not be very good at flying or find it unfun to fly something with such strong physics. This is the highest score I've had in a while, so you're witnessing some good stuff right here. So that is the draw and the drawback of the game. The strength is in its controls. The weakness is in its controls. I almost crushed them. There we go. If you want to spend 6 hours trying to figure out the controls and well, it's not even the controls, it's just flying the ship. The controls are completely fine. But if you want to take all that time to figure out how to control the ship, then this game is for you. If not, this game probably isn't for you. So what is the appeal of Retrobooster? Well, it appeals to those who want something a little more realistic and something a little more unforgiving and challenging. Again, the game is well made. Physics-wise, everything makes sense. When something happens, it's clear it was your fault. If you run into something too hard, you know why. What's difficult is figuring out how the ship moves, especially as you're constantly drifting. You're fighting drift, you're fighting your bullets pushing you back, you're fighting thrusters taking you in a direction you may not want to go. And it all takes practice. You can master it. It's masterable. But at the same time, it's super difficult to figure out. And there's a training mode for you to play around in and goof around and figure stuff out. But even after that, you have to spend hours. This is not a game where you just pick it up super fast. You can, but it's not. It's just not one of those games. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is what you're gonna get from your experience playing this game. And if that's not what you want, then this game is not gonna be for you, period. It's unforgiving. You will die. You will run into stuff trying to figure stuff out. There's timed sections in the game where you have to open up a lock to a gate of some sort and fly there just in the nick of time. And it's not easy because the time is short and flying the ship is super difficult. See? You're constantly fighting something. It took me a long time to do that right there. All because I didn't know how to fly the ship. Now again, I've played quite a few hours of this game just to get even this decent. And I wouldn't consider myself that great by no stretch of the imagination. Got 25 health left. I haven't been using my shield to guard myself from the death and destruction and save. And that's what happens. You get disoriented. And you turn your ship around and think, oh, I'm trying to fly this way. And then you hit your reverse thrusters and you're like, oh, shoot, no, I'm throwing myself backwards now. And that's where all the flying and the physics and the mechanics come together and create the challenge. This is the first time I've saved everybody. This is the highest score I've ever gotten. So that is again, the strength and the drawback of Retrobooster. See, I just start the match and I'm automatically drifting. This is what I'm talking about when we're talking about obeying the physics. There are other games that also obey physics, but none like this. And if you think about it, in the sense of, you know, why in the world do more AAA developers and people like that not obey reality? Well, it's because it's not fun for a lot of people. And at times, it could get pretty frustrating. I definitely got frustrated with this game a few times. Sometimes even just getting those items when you're in a high octane moment and I've missed several extra lives because I'm in this high octane moment and I'm trying to get to it, but my ship is flying in this direction I don't want it to go, and I'm trying to get it back in the right direction, but it's not working because I'm having to deal with drift and the inertia and just all this different stuff. You can see right there, you know, I'm trying to stop right there, but it's just difficult. there's stuff you want to do, but you have to understand that you're not going to be able to do it because of reality. Doesn't mean you can't figure it out. Doesn't mean it won't get easier over time, but you're going to have to play with it. And if that's the kind of challenge you want, then you'll get something out of this game. Alright, so let's show some of the other settings. So here we go. We have, back at the menu, the leaderboards. I don't know how anybody could ever score that high. It's ridiculous. The highest I've scored, I think, is right there in this game, 26,000 or something like that. 550,000. I don't know. There is local multiplayer, cooperative. Haven't been able to experience that, but it is there. There are, if you go to new game, this is default save game slot. You can start over and go to the last level that you've been to. You can change the difficulty. Yeah, there are 3 extra levels of difficulty. Okay, I got that wrong, but yeah, it goes all the way up. So it goes pretty high. You can have 2 cooperative or deathmatch. I haven't been able to play deathmatch because I don't have anybody to play with. Again, I'll just hop into the tutorial real quick. They have the buttons. I'm using a controller, but you can use a keyboard and mouse. And yeah, here you can just get a feel for how the controls work and how to fly through stuff. And flying straight just is not easy. Learning how to use reverse thrusters and things like that. That's how you really figure out the game. So there's that. And of course you can change your controls as you please. The keyboard and mouse is there because I have my keyboard and mouse plugged in. There's not a lot of settings. Change the volumes of everything. Change full screen, anti-aliasing. Other than that, it's pretty set. So that's Retrobooster. It's a simple game. I'm gonna say it's not for everyone. If you are the type that will enjoy the type of challenge where you have to learn how to fly the ship and deal with everything around you, then you're really going to get a kick out of this game. For sure. If not, if you do not have the patience to learn how to fly a ship for hours, or if you consider learning on the fly, no pun intended, a difficult and boring and aggravating task, this game isn't for you. So, the game is on Steam Greenlight. You can vote for it if this is something you want to see on Steam. Other than that, the game is available. You can Google it for $18 currently, and the price is, I would say it's might be a little much for the price. There's a lot of levels, and just depending on how challenging the game is, it could be worth it for you. It's a challenging game for sure, but it might be less challenging if you're more astute flyer than others. So it could be worth the $18. For others, you might want to wait for a sale. Who knows? But if this is something you want to try out, there's also a demo you can download from the website, which you will find in the description on this video. So you can go download that, give it a shot for yourself. You can play, I think, about 3 levels, and including the tutorial, so you can get a feel for everything. And again, it's a well-functioning game, but certainly not for everyone. So I would encourage you guys, if you're interested, go download the demo, play a little bit, and if you like it, go for it. So my name is Anthony, aka Sir Kibble 2. This is Retrobooster. It's on Steam Greenlight, and available for download. See you later.